We have officially left 2025 and have arrived to 2026 as AEW Predictions League and Worlds End is in the books, quite literally. And we are here post-holiday to bring you the statistical post-show analysis to what was Worlds End in the end of that City Predicting League. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first Predictions Post-Mortem for 2026. Technically, the last one 2025, but it is what it is. You know what this is, for I am one half of the statistical, simple analysis pairing, the simple man of the simple brand, the voice of SRS for Great Father Professional Wrestling. Damn it, my name's Noah Foster. With me is PapaGino. He'll be mean, he'll be real, and he'll keep it to you straight, whether he's an outlier or he follows the curve. Again, please like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. You want to dictate the conversation. Super chat is truly as simple as that. Gino, happy post-holiday New Year's to you and your family. Good to see you once again as we look towards what we turn this into, but we still have unfinished business from 2025 that we're finally going to close the book on. How are you?
Man, I'm doing well, Noah. Yeah, we're a little late on this one, but the holiday season can be pretty busy, but I'm looking forward to getting this all taken care of, seeing how we can lay to rest the AEW predictions from 2025, lay that whole year to rest, and we can move forward to 2026.
Yep. Again, as time keeps moving, the industry keeps going. So I figure without further ado, keep it short, sweet, and simple as I usually try and do when we intro stuff. Let's go ahead and get into it. Again, folks, this is a unique post-show recap with a little bit of a statistical analysis backing it up. For I, of course, track Predictions League since 2017 for WWE, NXT, AEW, TNA, and this year, for the first time, I will be doing a GCW exhibition on behalf of the Super Labo Studio. So if you're a fan of independent wrestling or game changer wrestling, be on the lookout for forums on my X and also Super Labo Studio 2024 and the Renegade Wrestling JJ Williams X. The first forum will be out shortly once this video concludes. And yes, we are doing once again AEW, WWE, NXT, and TNA Predictions Leagues for 2026. What does that mean for predictions post-mortem outside WAW? Stay tuned. Good to see Dwayne Atkinson once again. Another great friend, of course, professional wrestling, damn it. And who knows, we might even bring other people in here that take part in Predictions League to get their own statistical analysis. This thing continues to evolve as we've done this now for the better part of, I would say, 5 months or so. And this is some of the most statistical fun I've had outside doing my spreadsheet. So without further ado, PapaGino, let's get right into it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the results for Team NoDQ as you and I, doggone you, we freaking tied. But there is a couple of unique situations here where, of course, you and I were not always on the same page, but most of the time we actually were. There was actually a match that you and I both got wrong. And congrats to TJS, who got a perfect score, I think by sheer luck, considering how his brain goes. And shout out to the real Galactic in the chat. I wonder if he's a fan of Galaga Galaxian, by the way. Appreciate everybody that's tuning in again. Support PapaGino, grow his channel, grow his feed. Okay, share the stream. Suppose that. The man deserves it. Not about me, it's about wrestling. But I'm doing very well, and I hope everyone's doing well too. But again, Gino, that being said, where do you want to begin?
Yeah, I mean, AEW Worlds End, the season, the year that was, they like to be the last pay-per-view premium live event, and they do that every year, and which is smack dab in between Christmas and the New Year. And we are doing this post Dynamite, which I thought was a decent show. I watched it from start to finish because of what has happened in AEW World's End. I thought that they made a great amount of corrections for a fair weather fan like me to be invested in the product again. So we'll just go ahead and we'll start right. We'll just go left to right. We've got a bunch of interesting new changes and proposed changes for you guys in the new year. Number one, we will probably be doing these earlier in the week so that we don't have Raw or Dynamite to get in our way of what we're talking about. But we're going to celebrate this in the year as a whole. And I am very optimistic about AEW into the new year. So we'll just start off right with the grudge match. I mean, it sure looks like every single person got that one correctly. I can't see the very bottom. Okay, so Walter was the one in 14-1. Okay, so Walter, we appreciate you, Walter. One of the NoDQ guys, the Rage of Wrestling. Go check him out. So everybody, you, me, and everybody except for Walter, we predicted Darby Allin. For me, as a aforementioned fair weather fan of AEW, and now that the weather is fair, I will be watching more. Uh, there was no way they were going to give this victory to somebody I have never heard of. Sorry, at me in the comments if you want. It was going to be Darby Allin. He needs to be built up so he can finally take down the, but not want to end. He just kind of wants to take down Pac, but hopefully ending the Death Riders. But it was going to be Darby Allin. For me, this was probably the easiest thing to predict on the card. Noah?
It's unique considering both men's mindsets and what they give the professional wrestling business and what their outlook are in life. Gabe Kidd, who was literally a Centric Award for 3 years, nearly figured about being and himself all together. But Hiroshi Tanahashi, of course, given new lease on life, and so did the love of the fight, especially in Shindy Pro Wrestling. Of course, Gabe Kidd following the John Moxley mindset when it comes to not treating this like a joke. This is a business, and this business serves the absolute best and one can give to it. Darby Allin, though, who believes that Gabe Kidd, John Moxley do not stand for what professional wrestling needs, particularly what All Elite Wrestling was founded upon. And of course, if you're an enemy of John Moxley and Gabe Kidd is the higher mercenary, you are literally prime target number one. Not to mention the psychological warfare of Darby Allin being pushed down those steps. For me, though, I look at it like this. I don't know what the direction of Gabe Kidd or Darby Allin was at the time of this match, but I know one person's found in AEW, the other one's found in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And Darby Allin, statistically so far against the Death Riders, he is basically being them all except one bastard Pac back at full gear. This was a first time ever one-on-one. I figured the streak would continue and Pac would be revisited at some point since Pac and Gabe Kidd both sent Darby Allin to the Inferno. So I had to go with Darby Allin here with a bloody counter pin to the finish, but it's still bloody ridiculous.
And yeah, so that was one of the ones where you and I were both correct on this. And it happens less frequently than we would like it to, where we're both correct on things.
You think?
Mostly because of me. And the more I pay attention to the product, the better I think my predictions will be. I started halfway through the year. Shout out to Charles Schultz. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. We appreciate all of you guys, whether you're watching from Noah's channel or mine. You guys freaking rock. Speaking of freaking rocking, we got a Mixed Nuts Mayhem, which is basically a mixed 8-person tag. There's the Death Riders, the aforementioned Death Riders versus the conglomeration, and the one, the only timeless Tony Storm. For me, this was also pretty easy to predict, but less easy to predict because the Death Riders have been a focal point of AEW television for the better part of a couple of years, it feels like now. But timeless Tony Storm, she's no longer the champion. She shouldn't be taking losses going into continue to make her look strong. So for me, it was whatever team Tony Storm was on was going to get the win, and looks like you picked the same. Noah, what made you think that was correctly going to be the winner?
A tale of two stories. Claudio Castagnoli lost to Rajasthan in the Continental Classic, once again being unable to make it to the semifinals, third year in a row. And Thomas Toy Storm and Mina Shafir's bad blood, of course, with Mina Shirakawa and Megan Bain, of course, with their fallout, as both those teams, of course, were part of the AEW Women's World Tag Championship Tournament. And of course, Thomas Love Bombs won, but of course, the first bullet was fired during Blood and Guts, where Marina Shafir and Megan Bain forced Tony Storm to surrender as Mina Shirakawa was passed out. I look at the ongoing continued story of Thomas Toy Storm and Marina Shafir, who have yet to go one-on-one. And they were my focus here in this match. I was also waiting for Roderick Strong to beat the crap out of his wife.
I knew you were going to say that, but I didn't know you were going to say it like that.
Yes,
they are
I
married.
Love it.
IRL.
I love intergender wrestling warfare where it is badass in delivery, and it doesn't get badder than former MMA fighter Marina Shafir and Mr. ROH beside the backbreaker Roderick Strong. But nonetheless, I had to go with the conglomeration and timeless Tony Storm and them here. It just makes sense to me considering I think we're leaning into Marina Shafir versus Thomas Tony Storm after Marina Shafir decked and knocked her out with a toe kick and took Mina Shirakawa out during collision. So that was my biggest reason for that. The women, particularly moving forward in their story, versus the conglomeration, the Death Riders, that I feel like is going to be an ongoing thing, considering all the interwoven threads with Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong when it comes to Willa Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli, particularly. So I had to go with Timeless and the Conglomeration here. And this was a hell of a hilarious 8-person mixed endeavor. I was quite entertained by this.
So we both kind
Eventually,
of
damn it.
yeah, we both picked based on the women in the match. It
Yes.
sounds like, and we were both right from that. Did I say something incorrectly with mixed nuts? Did I say it incorrectly, or what
No,
was the?
I typed it wrong in the banner.
Okay, I was like, I thought I said mixed nuts. Speaking of mixed nuts, is that just their way of differentiating between like a mixed tag in WWE and a mixed tag in AEW, or is there
Uh,
something more to that?
it was sponsored by something actually, and I think that was the reason behind it. Because spoiler alert, on Wednesday they did revisit Death Riders Conglomeration Tony Storm in a different way with Tornado Trios Warfare. So
Right.
I think this was just a pay-per-view thing based on a sponsor, but nonetheless, it was World's End, it was pay-per-view, and it was mayhem as Tony Storm got swung by Claudio and Shafir mixed it up with Roderick Strong. There was a battle of the pockets when it came to lightning fast case and slow because there's Shafir and Orange Cassidy. I need more Maria Shafir, by the way, on my screen against anybody. I love seeing her in action. So again, it was just entertainment, but it was also continuation of Death Riders versus the world.
Absolutely. And as somebody who is a reborn AEW watcher since I know we've only had one event, but I was focused on making sure I watched Dynamite because of, and we will get to the main event of the evening. But I will say it is refreshing to see that they are willing to have the men and the women tangle up when they are in these mixed situations. Like, I'm not saying I want more men in WWE to beat up more women in WWE, but the occasional throwing one out of the ring or whatever, or like that was good heel work. And we saw on Dynamite that happened. I was like, this is like, it's authentic. It feels more refreshingly authentic than where it's like, yeah, they have like a shield around them. Like, no, like you're still in a match. You're still going to try and break up pins and stuff like that. So I was very entertained when they continued this story on Dynamite. Now, with that down, moving on to the AEW Tag Team Championship Chicago Street Fight. Now, this one was also, we had 1 in 14, and that was Jerry Slaughter, the one
Our
who
own
got
Jerry
this.
Slaughter.
And we love Jerry here. But he picked the Bang Bang Gang for me and you, but mostly for me, since I'm speaking for myself. It was FTR. It felt obvious to me. FTR had worked all year to kind of build themselves back up into the championship picture. I didn't see them losing this. I feel like the Bang Bang Gang has fizzled out. Even as a part-time viewer, I'm still more invested in FTR than the Bang Bang Gang. And so for me, it was an easy pick. It was FTR. I didn't think more about it than that. What about you, Noah?
The gimmick was Chicago Street Fight. Let's be honest. That was the reason why I was on this card. They literally faced each other during the holiday bash. This was a follow-up without VTR. Honestly, this probably could have been shaped for television, maybe even for a collision. It just felt like a filler because we're waiting for the revival of Adam Copeland and Christian Cage versus FTR, which could be a dynasty waiting to happen in Canada, in Vancouver. That being said, it was easy for me. At the end of the day, I look at the best combination of the Bang Bang game being what it originally was when FTR first faced them. Rock Hot, Juice Robinson, and Switchblade Jay White. Get well soon. I didn't think it was Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson's time right now. And with FTR and this renewed focus of being the heels that we prefer them to be when it comes to their traditional roots of tag team wrestling, it made sense for the champions to retain. Not much more to say besides that. Some Stokely took a nasty bump.
All right. Well, then we will move on. I agree with your assessment. It probably could have been saved for a regular television show. Yeah, I mean, Jay White, I'm not a big fan of him personally, but I know he's big in the storyline. And if he had returned there, maybe this would have been a higher profile thing, especially since it could have been saved for a regular television match. But it does feel like, again, somebody who's getting back into AEW, that they really do like to put as many pay-per-view matches as they can, get their wrestlers paid, get their fans, get them in front of fans. So I don't have a problem with it, even if
Yeah, it was
the
fun.
match didn't deliver.
It was pretty fun. An FTR show, they can definitely get down and dirty like the Nasty Boys, honestly, if you give them a weapon.
And for guys that are regular in-ring like generals, like it was nice to see, at least for me, them to step outside of that and do more street fight dirty tactics like that. So with that down, we have the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship, and this one was 15
Unanimous.
out of 15. Everybody got this one correct. And for me personally, it just felt like they're the current champs. We're going to ride into the new year with them to establish the titles for me, Monet, and as we saw on Wednesday, for me, this is the fall. This is the, however you want to consider it. This is the fall from grace for Mercedes Monet. So I don't expect her to win matches until she's then titleless and going to be challenging for the AEW Women's Championship, because that's the one title she hasn't won. Aaron mentioned it on his post show from Wednesday. For me, she's going to lose everything. She doesn't need any of the titles, and they're going to have to do something to build her back up. But the AEW title is the next title I see her winning, title match that she wins. Every other title match she's going to have, the 7 guys that were holding her championships up as she entered the ring on Wednesday, they're one by one by one, they're all going to fall, and then she'll be more focused on the AEW Women's Championship. What made you think that the Babes of Wrath are going to retain?
Because these titles were newly minted and Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale earned them. It's Harley Cameron's first ever in her young wrestling career at 3 years involved in the business, where Willow was her second opponent, and Monet was on a 2-match losing streak regarding championships, losing the Undisputed Red Pro Women's Championship to Alex Windsor, and losing the Ring of Honor Women's World Television Championship to Red Velvet back-to-back nights after losing to Chris Statlander for the AEW Women's World Championship for the second time, but their third ever one-on-one encounter where Stat has arrived, because Stat's where it's at, damn it, F the haters. For me, though, it came down to what does the future hold for Willow and Monet, where there's unfinished business with them, considering the record is 1-1. And looking at the trend of Monet, it had to set up Willow versus Monet 3, and I'm so damn glad it did. So solely based off the recency of the championships and what I believe was to be foretelling, I had to go with the champions here. And at least Athena wasn't pinned this time. So again, it's 50-50 when it comes to team booking. Athena was pinned, of course, during the tournament by Harley Cameron. Willow pinned Monet. So as far as I'm concerned, Athena and Monet are done pursuing these tag team championships altogether.
Yeah, and as we saw, like you said, the third match between them that took place on Wednesday was the main event of the evening. It was a really enjoyable match. I'm a big fan of Willow. I know that she's had her ups and downs in AEW, but seems like they've strapped the rocket, and hopefully we can continue to see more of her. She's getting better in the ring, and I enjoyed that. Dwayne Atkinson's asking, when will Mercedes win it? All in. Well, we'll have to see. I think that she doesn't win the AEW championship until she's got no other titles.
Yeah, but I would say she still has 9 championships. And when you look at the Renaissance year, I call AEW the last year, where Willow and Chris have gone on this journey together, separated by maybe just the envy friendship or looking for themselves and reinvention, the highs and lows of both. And spoiler alert for what happened at the end of Dynamite, that's what AEW is all about. I could not be happy where AEW is right now in the women's division, and particularly for all of their champions.
And we're gonna get to that again. I can't stress this enough. I have felt a reinvigorated interest in AEW, thanks in large part to what happened on this event. And it's not because I got the most AEW predictions right that I've gotten all year long.
This is also accurate, though, folks.
Yeah, so I had a 7-piece off the top rope. So we're going to move on now to the Continental Classic 7. Now, this is where it got choppy for Noah and I, and it looks like majority of other people as well, as we get into the Continental Classic matches as a whole. So we got these 3 matches. You see a lot of blue. The Continental Classic semifinals match with Kyle Fletcher and Jon Moxley. For me, Kyle Fletcher's the future. He should probably be winning this whole thing, as you can see by my prediction of who should win the whole thing. And I wasn't predicting it based on heel versus face or face versus heel. And this to me was you put your young guy who is the future of your business over, Moxley's been fizzling out. Some people are saying he might go away for a little while. Maybe the Death Riders turn on him, whatever the case is. But they had other plans, and sometimes predictability is great, and sometimes it's not great. And this one for me was unpredictable. But Moxley is one of their big players, so I'm not like mad at it. But for me, it was like I've talked about Kyle Fletcher as like a Randy Orton mixed with John Cena archetype, and I can get behind a guy like that who can go so well in the ring. And to me, it had to have been Kyle Fletcher, but it wasn't. It was Noah who saw the light or the darkness, as it were, and you picked John Moxley. And so did TJS, who got 100% correctly. But what went into your decision for John Moxley winning?
The way I look at it is this: John Moxley is the standard of AEW when it comes to where the best wrestle, where the strongest wrestle, where the most driven wrestle. And the Continental Classic, proven John Moxley's point about AEW, everyone doing the work, not being complacent, confirming the fact there are no seconds out of ringside, no shenanigans, pure one-on-one matches. And this is the first time ever one-on-one matchup. Kyle Fletcher was a breakout star last year in 2025, already hanging with the AEW Men's World Champion. Now you got the most notorious AEW Men's World Champion in this company taking on Kyle Fletcher, and what feels like an underlying storyline to come, maybe in the Jeff Riders versus the Don Callis family, while still Jeff Riders versus the world. For me, it came simply down to this: John Moxley has that familiarity and the experience in the Continental Classic, making it to the finals previously, but losing out. Not to mention, we have seen a complete turnaround this year in favor of the AEW faithful towards John Moxley based on his work ethic and his promos. Kyle Fletcher has been the ultimate villain, though, but pushed beyond what he believes he's capable of. This was a shining moment for Kyle Fletcher, whether in loss or defeat. And that's what I want to see. Not necessarily you assume that the next big star is going to win this because he's the next big thing. Why does he need this if he's going to be the next AEW Men's World Champion in many people's eyes, or a future AEW Men's World Championship? I look at John Moxley. I don't know if he knows what the word vacation is, but John Moxley doesn't need to be towards the World Championship either. As far as this championship goes, it further tests John Moxley, but it also offers new opportunity if he wins it towards the AEW roster, or should I say new business. For me, John Moxley made sense to go to the finals because I think there's a different story and a different goal in mind for Kyle Fletcher in 2026.
Well, I like where your head's at. Obviously, it was in the correct spot. And so Moxley wins, and only two of y'all predicted that one. Then we'll move on to the second of the semifinal Continental Classic matches. And listen, you have to live under an absolute rock to not know the rivalry that Okada and Takeshita have together. And I said it right this time, so don't at me like you did last time when I pronounced it wrong.
Good
And I
job,
had
Dino.
not, yeah. So I said it right. I'm not saying it again because you're not going to mess with a good thing, but their rivalry, they're like two sides of the same coin, the yin and the yang. And for me, at the end of the day, I do think Okada is better. So I went with Okada, which then meant that it was going to be, a non-traditional type of matchup between good guy, bad guy, bad guy, bad guy, whatever. So I was predicting that it was going to be Fletcher and Okada. I was correct, but that I did not much went into that other than if I'm running the company, I'm pushing Okada over to Takeshita. I said it correctly again. Noah, why did you pick him?
I picked freaking Takeshita because there's not been a bigger, hardworking breakout wrestler across the world than the Alpha. I really thought I was going to make history in the G1 Climax, the Round Robin Tournament in New Japan, and the Round Robin Tournament here in AEW, ahead of going to the Tokyo Dome to defend IWGP Heavyweight Championship and going after more gold there. For me, Okada, he's been an unstoppable anomaly, rivaling nearly his IWGP Heavyweight Championship run in New Japan, and he held the Continental Championship, which might I add was also part of this, for practically 600 days. This was also the first time ever one-on-one encounter that has been teased ongoing since last year when they first met each other in a fatal four-way for Okada's Continental Championship. I looked at it like this: this was not going to end at the Continental Classic. It was only going to begin. And the desperation that set in towards the end of the match, again, you all can go watch it, proves my point. For me, though, I thought that Konosuke was going to upset Okada, send him down a spiral of WTF, and we see how we get to the second match. I also see changes in the Don Callis favor where members might leave. One of these two particularly. So I was looking towards Konosuke being overall this year's winner. And damn it, I was wrong.
Ah, just so sweet to hear those words. I hear them so infrequently over the whole
You
course
really
of
do.
AEW predictions since we started doing the predictions post-mortem. And again, we have a lot of fun. We hope that you guys are enjoying these as well. It's one thing to do the predictions, which is an absolute ball of a time. I know I got people in my friends line that want to be in this starting with the 2026. So we're going to have even more participants this year. But being able to break these things down for you guys is an absolute pleasure. And speaking of a pleasure, or as I should say, a pain, because we had the finals where we both took one of the participants incorrectly going into the finals. And it turns out the person that we predicted to win the semifinals and then win it all was the one that we were incorrect about. So neither Noah nor I got this one correctly. It was the former Ambrose, the former Shield, the current Death Rider, kind of a face while his group is a heel. Jon Moxley won. He beat Okada when I thought it was going to be Fletcher all along, but it was Mox. And I get it. He's like all the things that you said, why you picked him to win his individual match. He is one of the current pillars of AEW. He's somebody that when he's on screen and with what he's doing, whether you like it or whether you don't like it, you have to pay attention to it. And well, I think AEW's biggest issue has been recently is the investment we might have in the characters and who we want to see on screen. Seems like they're starting to do that. And Dwayne mentioned he picked Okada to win. He said chose him and Fletcher in the finals, and Fletcher has 2 wins over Okada. That's sound reasoning. You're
Very
basing it in stats and facts. And if there's anything Noah and I love at the same level other than wrestling, it's statistics and following the word of the last time we were here, the word of the week, a pattern as we went into these things. Now, Noah, so we've kind of already addressed it a little bit, but why Takeshita over Moxley? Because you had Moxley correctly. Why Takeshita over Moxley?
Again, I go back to the work ethic, the drive, and will Jon Moxley actually take a break? Where I do think Jon Moxley wants to push forward the future, so AEW is around for the long haul. For me, Kazuchika Takeshita is the future. He is the now. He is the alpha, and he already beat Jon Moxley during the Continental Classic, while they're also now 1-1. So I figured they were going to revisit it here. Apparently, I was wrong. You figure out the way this could have gone with 4. Let's call it what it is. None of them are baby faces, honestly, but they're all respected, incredible in-ring competitors that fought their ass off to get there. At the end of the day, this is about as pure as a competition of a tournament you could have gotten with the name wrestling, not sounding earthward. So it's one of those things there where I thought Konosuke again was going to take this whole thing. But I look at the formulas right now. Fletcher and Okada. Would Fletcher beat Okada again, considering he's 2-0, or would Okada maybe, use the screwdriver then? With Don Callis had to fix it, Don Callis had to fix it the whole time. Konosuke and Fletcher. Protashita. Again, they haven't gone one-on-one yet since, of course, he faced him when he joined the Don Callis family. And then, of course, the match that we got here, the most unpredictable circumstance to even think about. This first time ever, might I add, one-on-one, where basically Okada, he was showing the scars and the battles of Konosuke, but Jon Moxley was a long-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, and somehow he survived. When it came to what Jon Moxley did, though, I can't argue that the man absolutely earned it and deserved it and wanted it more, which I think was the biggest factor, especially after his post-victorious speech, echoing the sentiments of everyone in the Continental Classic. But I just felt like Konosuke was going to make history overall. That's why I went with him. But am I upset by the result in the tournament? Not in the slightest. But I am kind of intrigued to know Okada is finally no longer Continental Champion. Truth be told, he's international champion, but the biggest cornerstone of the end of a career is gone.
Well put. I'd be remiss to not bring up the one person who did get that correct, which
Damn it.
was TJS.
Yes.
TJS got everything correctly. Well done. As somebody who has made a name for himself not showing up, he sure showed up this past Saturday. Well done, TJS. Now, this one, 15 out of 15. It feels like current champions have been holding their own throughout the entirety of this card till we get to my favorite of the night,
Yeah.
but we will address that momentarily. So, the AEW Women's World Championship. Nothing against Jamie Hayter except for her last name. Not a big fan of it personally, but stat is where it's at. She's still so new into her championship run, even though she's been on the forefront of a lot of fans' minds, whether she was champion or not. Stat is where it's at. Obviously, Noah's a huge stat fan. At this point, I don't see that they were going to have the title change hands. So I was going to stay at stat where it's at until I see the name across from her being either Monet or Storm, to be honest. So what made you select stat where it's at, other than your undying love for that performer?
First off, I have an undying love for not only her, but many competitors in this company that I found independents that now have a bigger stage to show what professional wrestling is and what they can be for this business. These two included that I followed through AAW, Pro Wrestling Eve, and Stardom. That being said, Chris Statler, Jamie Hayter, 3. Of course, the score has stood 2-0. One took place from the Cruiser exhibition. Of course, their only other singles encounter was literally last year during the Owen. In the semifinals, Chris Statlander lost to Jamie Hayter, while Jamie Hayter's year has been a year of reformation and redemption, beating the biggest names and the former AEW Women's World Champions in order: Timeless Tony Storm, Mercedes Monet, and Jamie Hayter. Not to mention, there's a lot of similarities with these two women. Both coming back from injuries, both had it all, lost everything. They know who they are. They're trying to figure it out, but who's more focused right now to lead the division as the champion? Damn right, it's Chris Statlander. Jamie Hayter hit her hard, but it's Chris's time right now to lead forward, who has more familiarity with this entire roster, outside Fekla pretty much, than anyone else in the AEW women's roster. So for me, Chris Statlander is where it's at, and it's to come and go forward, especially who's the men's world champion, considering those two individuals have history going back to independence, and our scumbag endorses this current AEW Women's World Champion. In fact, he's one of the reasons why Stat is in AEW, if you all ever freaking did your history lessons. So I had to go with Chris Statlander here. Her time is just starting. Now beating 3 of the most accomplished, recognized champions in AEW history. I'm just waiting for who's next, whether it's Fekla, Sky Blue, whether it's one of the new signings and high in my world, whether it's Lena Cross, who might be rumored, whether it's somebody outside AEW. Might I add, she's facing Dakota Kai for the Eve International Championship that she also holds at Queendom, of course, in Pro Wrestling Eve. Just putting that out there. I can't wait to see her Chris Statler continue to go from here, and I think she's going to be champion for a long time. I had to go with Stat here, though, but something tells me her and Jamie Hayter may not be done with each other, and I have no problem seeing this ran back with a score as 1-1.
Heck yeah. Hopefully that, if that happens, that if Hayter does win the championship, that there's a good enough reason for that. Because like you said, that's she's still so new in her reign. I'd like to see her carry the ball for a little bit. Now, speaking of being new into your reign, speaking of maybe wanting to see somebody carry the ball, speaking of having wanted to see somebody carry the dang ball, feed the man the rock, let him run for 200 yards and 5 touchdowns. We had the AEW World Championship Fatal 4-Way with our current champion Samoa Joe and MJF being the only 2 of the 4 who received any prediction love. Going into this match, and we also had Swerve and Hangman. No slight to them,
No.
but they got their own stuff going on. MJF foolishly or intelligently, you know what? I'm going to defend the intelligent point of view. Intelligently went into this match knowing that he can not be disqualified. He can beat one of any 3 people to win this match. granted, he could also lose the match and not be involved in the decision, which is what everybody was talking about. Well, he has to win now because it would be stupid of him to do this. But he ended up beating the champion, getting the title. And from what I understand, they didn't want him beating Hangman for the title, so they had Joe in the little interim. Joe's not going away quietly, nor should he, because he is also a mainstream star. We got Samoa Joe starring in television shows. We got MJF starring in movies. Like, push these guys that the regular non-wrestling fans actually know who exist. So MJF is our new AEW champion as of Wednesday. He has the brand new but old but new big beautiful belt.
Triple B.
And this is what I want to see. Like, I tuned in to Dynamite intentionally, not because it was like, oh, it's Wednesday, I'm bored, what is there to watch? It was, it's Wednesday, it's Dynamite, it's 7:55, prepare for war. And then they brought him out first, which I was like, they seem to know, or at least they're making the right decisions. You put the person that the fans are tuning in to see. He's talking smack. They had a really good segment where he had 3 opponents in the match, but now he's got 3 individual challengers that could take him all the way into WrestleMania season. I know that's a different company, but like, that's what you want. You want to have people who you want to see good matches against, who theoretically they could beat, which MJF isn't going to lose the title. If I'm booking him, he's not losing until 2027 at the earliest. Let him go on a big reign. He even mentioned that last reign I had, it's going to look like a walk in the park, the shortest thing you've ever seen. And that's what I want. I'm still going to watch the matches. I'm still going to be invested in it, to the point where I will be watching to make sure he doesn't lose. Right? It's one of those things where you tune into wrestling to see your favorite win. To me, I'm not even really tuning in to watch him win now that he's the champion. I'm just tuning in to watch him not lose, whether that's through underhanded tactics, hopefully no more kangaroo kicks, whether that's through the disqualifications or countouts or champion's advantage, whatever it is. We had Roman Reigns win through interference after interference after interference, and everybody seems to forget about that. So I haven't either, but everybody loves Roman Reigns now, and he never even apologized to Jey Uso. Like, wrestling fans as a whole, we can forgive a lot if it makes sense. Yeah, we want to see these other guys holding the title, but MJF, whatever he's got to do to hold on to this championship, he was in multiple segments of the show. I figured, oh, he's on first, they're going to let him go home. No, he did an interview later into the night where Brodito came up, or Bandito and
yeah, you got
Brody
it, Brodito. That's their team. Very good.
Yeah. I meant, but they both did talk to him a little bit. But that's what you do. You have your champion be the most big star in your company, and you have him appear on multiple segments. Like, you're paying him for the full night. When we win WWE, you got these guys show up for the opening thing, and if they're not booked for a match later, they're gone. It's like, come on, you wrestle. You're not even doing house shows anymore. You barely wrestle one night a week. Like, stay for the whole show. Like, this talks about what Bailey was talking about on Undertaker's podcast, where people aren't watching and aren't caring, or talk to Seth about, oh, did you watch my thing? And then they'll be gone before his match is over. Bunch of bullcrap. Care, because we care, and the fans can tell when you're not invested, you're not watching the rest of the show. Like, I love that MJF was there. I'm a huge MJF fan. The match was fantastic. I mean, you've got the you could argue the 4 pillars other than John Moxley of AEW, the new 4 pillars. I know that there was a whole thing at the start of the company, but for me, I could wax poetic about this all night long.
I love it.
MJF, I was going to pick him no matter what. I don't care who looked strong in the go home show. I don't care I don't care about any of the patterns or nothing. MJF was getting my vote until he's not on the ballot anymore. And it looks like Colin and Walter were the only ones that picked Samoa Joe, probably because it was so new into his reign and the plausible deniability of the fatal 4-way situation. But for me, and it looked like you. It was MJF. I've been begging for you to stop defending why he's not on television and start having him on television, and he's back, and he's Noah, why did you pick MJF?
Good things come to those who wait and enjoy AEW for what it is, not your typical other big company. That being said, I love how much you pontificated and waxed proxy on why you picked that and what this means. And might I add, you forgot some other names that are already on MJF's radar, including Kenny by God Omega
That's right.
and Darby Allin, the man that MJF beat with a headlock takeover. And honestly, MJF and Darby, they're kind of day one rivals if you looked at their history. So the list right now that is in front of MJF, where he's not, sweating it off, but brings so much new intentional value and chase for the Men's World Championship. That's another reason why I picked MJF. I also did because when you look at this four-way match, it was a tale of three different matches and one that hasn't happened yet in AEW in someone's house. You look at Heyman, Page, and MJF. Day one, like I said, defined by the AEW World Champion since 2019. Heyman, of course, first went after it. He failed. Of course, Heyman, of course, he eventually did get the title. Most people forget about that. MJF got it later. Most people remember that and wonder why it stopped because MJF obliterated his body in the process. To the point, Samoa Joe took the title from him 2 years ago, technically 3 now, at World's End. And to your point, it was the man that made him lose his world where he got his world back that MJF got the pinfall on. Heyman and Swerve defining a rivalry 2 years ago. Those two were going to work together to make sure MJF wouldn't be champion or Samoa Joe wouldn't be champion. When it came to the two one-on-one, you had to consider somebody was going to have to undo the other. Callbacks to Revolution when Joe and Swerve and Heyman were involved in that triple threat. Same spot, Coquina Clutch. Swerve saving Heyman this time, thus Heyman did not willingly tap out. And of course, Swerve, Strickland, and MJF had never met each other in the ring, but have met each other in one backstage segment. Key word, folks, Swerve Strickland, not Shane, the guy that used to freaking twerk for flop dollar. Sorry, did I say that out loud? That being said, it's one of those things. It's one of those things where MJF, if he didn't win AEW, your 2025 would have been all for naught, where you have reset, revitalized, and brought complete new focus for the entirety of the AEW Women's Division, with a strong foundation of a tag team division, by the way, not made up of just thrown together teams and single stars that should be going after world championships, plus the fact that we literally are on the end of 2025 and wonder who's going to lead 2026. MJF was the guy, needed to be the guy. It's not about him necessarily winning all the time with distraction or diamond ring or a person in his corner, etc. It's a renewed focus that MJF, he's better than you and you know it. And he said that clearly in that promo. Getting the hell out of Dodge, where now he's turned AEW probably more violent and dangerous than ever because everybody wants the man's throat. Samoa Joe, Heyman, Page, and Swerve at the forefront. If you're going to get this new feeling in AEW, bruv, and see if Will Ospreay will be his undoing, or do we push this out like they did Cody and Roman, and maybe he actually loses his hometown, you see Ospreay actually ascend 2027, to your point, or you figure out others that could be going after the title, like Kyle Fletcher, who so far has not been on the radar. Kenosi the Cash Cow, we call him the future, but so far there's 3, 4. Bandito, by the way, is the first challenger at Maximum Carnage. Darby Allin wants to get free and get back to the top. This whole year right now can be defined as MJF as Men's World Champion. In order to do that, he had to win. This was MJF's redemption, the perfect master plan. There is no other way this match could have gone, in my opinion, that would have justified the result.
And again, right, like kayfabe S-word style, right? Like you're not going to have MJF when he can pick and choose his battle, pick a 4-way match, and book him to lose. I would have picked him regardless. He could have been coming into this match with an active cast around a broken leg and not be able to move, and I was still picking him. I do not care. Give the man the strap. Give him a reason to stay when his contract is up. Give him whatever he freaking wants. Let him reign for longer than Roman Reigns' title. I don't care because he's going to put on great matches. He's going to deliver newsworthy, well eloquently put promos, and he's going to deliver moments that'll stand on YouTube for more views.
And
That's,
what
I
other
mean,
kind of matches that I can't wait to call. That's it. That's all. Like I said, MJF and Chris Statlander are what AEW needs right now to completely change the outlook of the product and see what wrestlers are willing to work harder for those world championships. I can't wait to see where 2026 goes for AEW. And it starts at Revolution. But what a hell of a way to end the year, not just at World's End, but New Year's Smash for that matter, where you literally look at the cause and effect of the fallout and everything at a reset.
yeah, dude. Again, as somebody who didn't watch a lot of full shows of AEW this year and was still keeping his ear to the ground a little bit, like New Year's Smash was Dynamite was great. This World's End, the decisions, and that's ultimately what it comes down to. You can have a great match, but if the wrong person goes over, especially in a company where they like to act like records and win losses matter.
MJF even said that during his promo. Don't forget.
Right, exactly. And so that just to me means that you got to start making some good choices. And then, they even mentioned Bobby Lashley, who's injured. He could be a challenger. Now,
Yes.
like you literally got the next year booked for MJF. And I think
you didn't even name everybody. And think about the names that we named. Most of them have in-ring history. Some of them don't.
So there could be up and comers. There could be other people who earn their way into that conversation. We didn't mention potentially a Moxley match. We're not mentioning half the roster who MJF could work really well with. Like if MJF's going to go in there against somebody who maybe the rest of the general public don't really know who they are and whatever, at least have him be the champion, like the same style as the Open Challenge. Like you're going to put eyes on new people, but it doesn't work that way if MJF is freaking punching down when he's not the champion against people that he shouldn't be putting over. And but I'm not going to get into that whole thing. He's a company man for now, and I think that if AEW wants to keep him, because I just hear his theme music and I'm like, hopefully WWE has somebody else making theme music by the time if MJF does come over to WWE. But like it's one of the theme songs that works. He's got the presentation, the theme song, the catchphrases, the look, the wrestling acumen,
the psychology, the wrestling acumen. Keep going. I've been speaking his praises since he's been there.
He's got it all, man. The only thing was that stupid tattoo when he came back. Like I was like, what are we doing? But I think if I remember correctly,
lasered off.
Yeah, he's since corrected that mistake. Didn't even look that good, to be honest. But I digress. What a show. What a year. Wrestling, whether you like something or you dislike something, whether you think you like a company but you don't give it a chance, whether you think you don't like a company and you don't give it a chance, give these companies a chance. We got a new year. It seems like both major companies, and TNA has got the new TV deal. Like we got a lot of good potential, keyword there, potential for the upcoming 2026. And Noah and I really look forward to being able to break down these predictions. I know Noah does a lot of the work beforehand, but then we get to relax and lay these predictions to rest. And with that, we have laid not only AEW's pay-per-view slate to rest, but we've laid the entire year to rest. Noah, take it away.
Well, once again, Colin, 2025, we start as number one of a kind. I look forward to how we continue to evolve it in 2026, starting with, I imagine it would be Saudi Rumble. So we'll have to go from there. That's going to be probably an hour and a half because that's a whole different form of analysis. You consider what happened there and not just because of where it's at. But that being said, to your point, let's go ahead and see who actually won the AEW. Who was able for the recount? Who grabbed the brass ring and broke through the glass ceiling? Who had more perfects than anyone can remember Mr. Perfect had? Let's go ahead and take a look at the results of the AEW Predictions League for 2025. First and foremost, All Out had the most, of course, with 56, while All In had 55, and Dynasty had 53 total submissions. Shout out to the 442 that submitted overall the entire year. And with that being said, we'll start with the Galaxy. In third place, it was our own Greg Aldis, by the way. In second place, great friend I know on the X, King Kieta. In first place, another great friend of mine that I know is all elite, first time in AEW League history, it was Kyle Villarma that won for the Galaxy with a total of 69 points. Why, of course, Kinkieta and Greg, they were tied at 65, but due to the stronger stream, Kinkieta got more points overall on night, so he took second place. So congratulations to Kyle, who takes his place now at my Hall of Champions for the All Elite League. Now, that being said, the team. Believe it or not, folks, NoDQ is not tribalistic. There are those that actually care about All Elite Wrestling and want to see it succeed. Hi. That being said, in third place for Team NoDQ, it was Matthew Holitzer. In second place, he was in the chat earlier, Dwayne Atkinson. And of course, in third place, because I truly have followed this company since day zero, and it has my eye all the time, it was me. It was me that took the league overall at 76 points out of a plausible 87. And once again, I take the reins as the AEW Men's World Champion. Second year in a row, stand overall consistency. Beat me if you can. That being said, figure by the way
that's 3 years in a row, Noah.
Well, I tied with Aaron in 2023, so I don't consider that. I consider ties unanimous wins. You know me,
okay.
All right. But anyway, that being said, congratulations to Kyle, and thank you to everybody that participated across the team and the Galaxy, and I hope that you continue to follow along 2026, and that you can simply have fun with wrestling by simply predicting. And this is the league I wanted to win the most, so I'm so damn glad I won it. Yes!
Yeah, well, you deserve it. You better watch out because old mean PapaGino is coming in hot. I got 27 and I didn't even start until Forbidden Door. So I'd like to say, I mean, I probably wouldn't have gotten close to you, but now that I'm watching, now that they've given me more of a reason to watch, I feel like I'm going to be at least in the 50s, if not 60s, come next year. So this is well done. Congratulations again to Noah and to Kyle in the respective divisions of the AEW Predictions Leagues. You guys did a great job. Your hard work has paid off. We look forward to many more events in the new year and breaking them all down for you as only Noah and I can. And I mean, yeah, like you said, we got the Saudi Rumble coming up. I'm looking forward to seeing how you divide out bonus points to start the year off on that.
Oh boy, what madness is Aaron going to do with the NoDQ WWE Predictions League? Remember, that guy's the head booker. I'm just the scorekeeper, so you know he's going to have a ton of madness to make sure that he actually wins over his wife.
Well, you know, turmoil in the household, the house divided, but she does go with the betting odds favorites, and sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, that's fair.
I can never just go with the betting odds favorites just because me picking Seth Rollins at WrestleMania this past year is the reason why. I mean, I'm sure I would have been able to be a moderator after that, no matter what, but it was the reason why I got the moderatorship, and I am not looking back.
Don't. You earned that. You earned that freaking spot, dude. You earned that freaking spot. And
I
by the way,
appreciate you.
yeah, by the way, thank you, by the way, to everybody that took place across the entire year 2025, simply predicting across all 47 shows. I'm looking forward to see if I beat that score this year. And we're also doing a little bit of fun thing for my Simple Studios family. We're also hosting a GCW Predictions League as a little wrestling exhibition. I will be making the forums for that. They also will be on my X. So if you're a GCW fan, have fun taking part in that. But yes, once again, it will be WWE, NXT, AEW, and TNA at the forefront. So good luck to everybody.
Absolutely. And as we lay this past year to rest in our new year, we will be delivering you guys content. I believe we're going to be trying to do these on Monday before Raw, no matter what. So that way we can get this content out to you guys quicker. Got a few minor tweaks, some major tweaks coming. We're looking forward to delivering this all to you guys. And before Noah does his sign off, as always, you know, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.
And again, follow PapaGino. He's the awesome dude. And until next time, make a positive impact in life and have a good night. And thank you. I won. I freaking won. Yes.
Congratulations, man. You wanted it. You envisioned it on your 2025 vision board, and you succeeded.
I am all elite for life.
Congratulations, Noah, and everybody else who won every league this year.
Absolutely.